Welcome to the Tyler Werner Show, the breakdown of yet another Eagles loss. One that really wasn't supposed to happen, and one that really at this point makes many people, including myself obviously, question the rest of this Philadelphia Eagles season. So it's only fitting to open today's coverage of the Eagles game, or breakdown of the Eagles game, with Metallica's Fade to Black, I guess. Because for all we know, I mean, at this point, who knows? This season might be dead. I really don't know what to think at this point. I mean, is that the fate of this Eagles season already? 0-2, are we in the toilet already? Here in Eagleville, if you want to call it that? I don't know. But anyways, it is the Tyler Werner Show, and just like that, you know, that amazing preseason that everybody was raving about, that domination, I don't know. I mean, here we sit 0-2, just like that. And there's absolutely no excuse for what happened yesterday in Philadelphia, at Lincoln Financial Field, the home stadium of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's no breaking news or anything. This is on Chip Kelly more than anything.
Was that like a wise ass comment?
And we'll hear from some of the press conference footage. Obviously, yesterday it's not Tuesday, so it's not a Times Yours Tuesday, but nevertheless, it's a mean Monday, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But again, just like last Monday before the Eagles took on the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, Batman Wayne posted some reservations about he thought they'd start 3-0 as well, just like I thought along with many other people. But he said, I said myself, if they start 1-2 in the first 3 games, I'd push. He said if they start 0-3, which at this point, who knows, that could very well happen. Then he would push the panic button. I said, if they start 1-2, which now at best they can start 1-2 this season, the first 3 games, I'd push the panic button. So, ladies and gentlemen, making its debut on the show, the Tyler Werner panic button. Panic button activated. I've pushed the panic button on right out of the gate, 0-2. This is this is something, if I was gonna push the panic button at all this season, I at least would have thought it was gonna be maybe later down the road in the season, if maybe playoff hopes were in danger, because, oh, by the way, Chip, the general consensus, the general expectation out of most fans this season was to win a playoff game, and objective A, though, I guess, is make the playoffs. And how's that going to happen now? I mean, we'll get to the game, I guess, and talk about. I mean, when you start out 0-2, when, again, I mentioned last week that this game against the Cowboys, there's like no way. There's no way the Eagles could lose this. There's no way that they could let themselves lose this game. The Cowboys were out Des Bryant right out of the chute. And, I can't criticize the defense a whole lot, because they were out on the field so much in this game because the Eagles' offense couldn't do anything, especially in the first half, and they were turning the ball over. And the Eagles' defense was constantly out there. So, I guess given the circumstances, the Eagles' defense did what they could, did the best they could to, hold off the Cowboys. For the most part, to hold the Cowboys to 13 points until, that touchdown later on in garbage time, when it didn't really matter what the Eagles did at that point anyways. And certainly the Eagles would get a touchdown in garbage time as well. But anyhow, the game was pretty much over before any of that anyways. Last week it took, again, It took the offense time to get. It took until the second half to get going. They get going, and they come up short. A couple unfortunate things happen, but it's just like, all right, see, you got to be better prepared in that situation. Maybe it was a road game. This game here against the division rival Dallas Cowboys, who eked one out last week against the New York Giants at home. You can't let Dallas go up 2-0 and you start 0-2. It's your home field debut for the season. The Cowboys are banged up. Not only that, you took Tony Romo out, later in the game, out for perhaps 8 weeks. Sitting on the bench on the injury with Dez Bryant, but nevertheless still able to sit back there in his sling with Dez Bryant and kind of joke about, hey, this Eagles offense, they're not doing anything. We're still winning this game here at Lincoln Financial Field. Not to mention last year when there's a revenge, I guess, factor here too. You got to think in your head playing this game. Remember what they did to us last time? They basically, before Washington upset the Eagles and basically officially ended the season, the Cowboys put those gears in motion that second time around and won up the Eagles and went on to win the division. And that was basically it for the Philadelphia Eagles that season. I could go on. There was so much that was in the Eagles' favor here. A chance to bounce back after a loss that they could have easily have won last week against the Falcons. There's no excuse. No, absolutely no excuse. And for the offense to come out, for them to have as many rushing yards this season so far, I believe total, that basically equals the amount, or maybe even less than the amount, than when Clark Griswold drove his car off in the Grand Canyon 50 yards. And that's a little embarrassing.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
National Lampoon's Vacation. But anyhow, again, running the ball has been a big problem, obviously. Now, there's been occasions where they've needed a yard to get a first down, and it's worked out. Or when somebody from the Eagles' offensive line had to push Ryan Matthews forward to get a touchdown. There's times where that's paid off, I guess. So, again, we hear how Troy Aikman and Joe Buck calling the game. They bring up towards the end of the game, well, Chip Kelly got rid of Deshaun Jackson, and I laugh when he mentioned LaShawn McCoy because, again, if LaShawn McCoy was in that game, they probably would have had less rushing yards. So let's not go there. That's not the problem. The problem is this offensive line, is one of them. And that's something on Chip Kelly. LaShawn, I don't care because, again, a couple years ago when the Eagles' offensive line was perhaps the best in football, one of the best in football, LaShawn McCoy had a great season. And he stayed healthy, of course. And, that was, I guess, before a lot of things got to his head, like getting all kinds of money and whatnot. So I'm not gonna go there. With LaShawn, Deshaun Jackson, obviously that different story. Again, there could have been a way to bridge a gap there, I think, more so, but whatever. Now he's injured, missing some time as well, and he's on Washington, I guess, and Washington just doing what they do, I guess. They won yesterday without him, and RG3 there's reports that RG3 was playing safety in practice the other week ago. So I don't know what, again, I don't care really what they're doing, because I'm worried about what's going on here in Philadelphia, and the offensive line is one of them. Now, and if you look at the way they've drafted the past couple, getting rid of Harriman's, Evan Mathis is one thing. I understand, money, whatever, not buying into culture. That's one. That's fine. But if you got to fill, like when they brought DeMarco, or got DeMarco Murray, however they did, they drafted Nelson Aguilar after losing Jeremy Maclin. Miles Austin, is pure depth. Shouldn't be out there starting or anything. I mean, like Riley Cooper. Riley Cooper continues to be out there. That's another problem. Aguilar, at least he was a first-round draft choice, and maybe he could be seeing the field more than Riley Cooper, and Miles Austin. But I don't know. Nevertheless, on third down, they're throwing to Riley Cooper, and of course, Riley Cooper is not, catching the ball or coming close to catching the ball. So that's another thing. So I
just think somebody owes us an
I don't know
explanation,
why.
that's all.
Again, that's another problem. You got Jordan Matthews, who again, I know the guy has potential, but this is like the second week in a row where he's dropping passes that he should be catching, and it's just a bit of concern. A real concern at this. They're 0-2 for crying out loud, and I had them starting 2-0. There's no way they're going to go 12-4 now. Let's just get that out of the way.
I agree.
Yeah, and Sal Powell himself had him going 12-4 as well, and I'm sure now he also would not agree. So the offensive line again, it's on Chip Kelly. Because, again, it's one thing to get rid of Evan Mathis and Todd Hermans, but maybe, you got to consider improvements on those guys. The guards they have out there, they're just not cutting it. Not to mention, Jason Peters, he's been great, obviously, but this is probably his last season, he said. And he's getting up there, and you start thinking about that as well, and Lane Johnson, I don't know. He's up and down, it seems, and then Jason Kelsey. The guy has a good attitude, and I was happy to meet him over at MMR a couple months ago, and I guess film him and a few other Eagles playing a rendition of Family Feud on the Preston and Steve show, but. What was that in the second half? Snapping the ball when before it was even called for, and ultimately causing another turnover that you can't afford. What was up with this Eagles offensive line, for one thing? And obviously the running game has been a huge problem. At least. At the very least, when they get the ball out in space, they haven't had problems. If there's anything to have enjoyed about that Eagles game yesterday, it was the one play where, screen pass out to the side or whatever, and DeMarco Murray hurdles a Cowboys defender, and then, kind of ends up near Dan Bailey, and Dan Bailey tries to grab his arm and whatnot, it's like, what was he trying to hold his hand or something? And, he's trying to pull him back and DeMarco looks back and what are you doing? And of course, in one of the rare occasions ever where in an NFL football game where a kicker gets a penalty. And he wasn't even on the field. He was on the sideline to do that.
Man's got to know his limitations.
But at the end, does that matter? They're 0-2. They basically did nothing on offense. They turned the ball over. Bradford was not looking too good. He was fumbling the ball around. Not just the snap where Kelsey, snapped it and Bradford wasn't ready, but he threw two interceptions where it seemed like he was forcing it to Zach Ertz, and probably wasn't the best idea. Offensive line obviously is an issue right now, and I think Chip could have been more proactive in fixing it. be maybe more ahead of the curve. If you're going to get rid of a couple guys, not to mention Jason Peters is probably leaving after the season, and I'm certainly if the Eagles don't turn things around and don't do anything in the play, I would imagine it certainly will be Jason Peters' last, and he won't want to come back to the Eagles team next year. So, again, it's the offensive line's got to get fixed. The receiving core, again, I don't know. Why Riley Cooper is still out there, why he's getting thrown to on third downs when, you're down 10 or 13 points or whatever and you're running out of time. I don't know. Same with Miles Austin. I don't know. Sure, Aguilar's inexperienced here in the NFL, but give him more of a chance at least. I mean, we know he can be more talented. We know he's got more of a higher draft pedigree, be drafted in the first round, being the Eagles' first round draft pick this year. So that's pretty much that right now. And Josh Huff make a play here and there. I just don't know. What he's up and down as well, it seems. And sometimes it just seems like sometimes he's not up to speed with what's going on, and that showed last week in the Falcons game certainly. And sometimes it just doesn't seem like he's on the same page with what's going on. He's not at the right place or whatever. I don't know. But also the quarterback position. Again, Sam Bradford. I'd rather have him back there than Sanchez still. Rather than, Nick Foles.
What the hell?
Bradford, he's a better passer. It's just, he's still not the prototypical quarterback. And I'm not just saying Marcus Mariota. Bradford has a little bit of mobility in the pocket, but perfect again, it's just watching sometimes other teams play. Last night on Sunday Night Football, watching Russell Wilson and, of course, Aaron Rodgers.
5 letters here. RELAX.
It's just watching the way those guys can move out of the pocket. They don't always have to run. They can run if they have open space and open running lane and go pick up a first down, whatever. Sometimes they'll be smart, they'll go towards the sideline, avoid a hit, they'll stick the ball out, and it'll be enough for a first down. Or they'll scramble out of the pocket. Maybe it looks like they're going to run. Then they'll throw it. Aaron Rodgers was against the Seahawks defense, albeit without Cam Chancellor, but against a former Eagle, Aaron Rodgers was making this, well known last night. We all know who that former Eagle is, right? On the Seahawks defense. But anyhow, again, it's stuff like that would be very, beneficial at the Eagles quarterback position. Bradford, he doesn't really do. He can, if he has a wide open space, maybe, like any quarterback, he can go and pick up a first down maybe, or some yards or whatever. But to go out of the pocket and just be so capable of making a play on your feet like Aaron Rodgers did last, and still running with the ball in your hands and then still putting it exactly where it needs to be. That one touchdown pass to the Rodgers receiver. They don't have Jordy Nelson out there. They don't have their top 5 in the NFL wide receiver out there, but it was Rodgers to Rodgers, Kerry Williams on the coverage and trying to hold, getting flagged for holding pass interference calls and whatnot like he did here. But nevertheless, Rodgers just on full display. And again, Russell Wilson, same thing. The stuff he can do with his legs and make guys miss. And I mean, I was watching it last week too with Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he practically juked a guy out on the Chicago Bears defense and like got a few extra yards. I mean, it's not rocket science either. It's not all world ability necessarily, but just an ability that the Eagles don't have. And with Sam Bradford, I guess Bradford can throw again, but with that offensive line, the way the state of the offense, it's just not working. And again, that's on Chip Kelly. I sat here and I said with last week, I said I felt like Brad last week against the Falcons in that last drive, that Bradford, I felt comfortable with Bradford back there, that he was going to do what he had to do. And had Jordan Matthews maybe not dropped that pass, let it go through his hands or whatever, could have been a totally different ball game. The Eagles maybe, I believe they would have moved the ball down and scored, and maybe either, whether it was maybe Cody Parkey actually kicking it through, then or getting a touchdown. I thought either way, but because the offense was humming at that point last week. This week they couldn't get anything going. They had one first down the entire first half. They were going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, punt the ball, whatever. And essentially, the Eagles defense, get back out here. You're back on already. That's the problem. I mean, time of possession is one thing, but if you look at the quantity of plays too, that also explains the time of possession dominance as well. And if you're not converting any first downs, you've got a major problem. Chip Kelly says how, we're concerned, we want to get a lot of plays run. Well, you're not going to get a lot of plays run if you can't get a first down. And it's part of it's the play calling, certainly. Obviously, a big part of it, how you're calling plays. How, again, why Riley Cooper is out there on third down situations when you desperately need to start getting a first down for a change. I don't know. But that was, again, it's on Chip Kelly. It's Riley Cooper's still here all this time. I mean, again, at this point, I don't know what to think of this Eagles team. Dallas, I mean, there was an article I was just reading, or at least I didn't read the article, but I didn't even need to read it. I kind of agree with, it says even with Romo possibly out 8 weeks or whatever with Brandon Whedon there, the Cowboys can still win the NFC East. And I look at it and I say, yeah, they probably can. The Giants now. A lot of people thought that they were gonna, and I did too. I thought the Giants would bounce back and, hosting Atlanta, they beat Atlanta. They didn't. They're 0-2. They got defensive issues as well. Now, the Redskins, they beat the Rams yesterday. I guess it's not saying a whole lot. I mean, again, week 1, I think the Rams beating the Seahawks was a bit of a fluke, and the Seahawks historically, as of late, they've had issues with the Rams at St. Louis. So, and it was week 1. I still, see, the thing is, too, the Seahawks, they're 0-2. The Eagles are 0-2, and people are saying, "Oh, hey, the Seahawks are 0-2, and they'll probably turn around." No, see, the difference between the Eagles and the Seahawks, even though they're both 0-2, the Seahawks, they have the franchise, this is our franchise quarterback. Bradford, he's on a 1-year deal. Yeah, he's ideal. Chip Kelly, I think, ideally wants him to be the franchise quarterback because, again, no Marcus Mariota. So I think we're to hope that Bradford's supposed to be the guy, but we don't really know that yet. And as long as this offensive line is where it's at right now, Bradford, is not going to have the easiest time in the world being an all-world, possible MVP quarterback like Troy Aikman said perhaps that he probably could be this year. But again, it's, so that's one difference. And not to mention, with Cam Chancellor back, the Seahawks defense, is still pretty elite. Even with Kerry Williams out there, with Cam Chancellor out there, I think at least that secondary is a little more solidified again. So that's and not to mention Marshawn Lynch. He's the guy can still do it.
It's just about that action, boss.
Exactly. And that Jimmy Graham helps as well. Like I said, Seattle, they don't have the best offensive line, but Russell Wilson, he can make those plays with his legs. He can throw the ball on the move and whatnot. He's not having the best start of the season, but they still have, quote unquote, the guy. The Eagles don't have that. So, and not to mention the Seahawks, they started slow they started 3-3 last year. People were questioning them. And they finished the last 9 games very strong. Seattle, I can still see perhaps winning that division. Or at least they're going to be they're going to be a playoff team. I got to think that. Again, maybe with Cam Chancellor back, maybe when he stops holding out, that would help him out, certainly.
He wants your money!
But the Eagles, right now, I just can't see them being a playoff team now. I'm looking at teams that they just have it more to get. Arizona, 2-0. Again, Seattle, I still think, Packers at home. Who's going to beat them at home? Seattle didn't do it yesterday. Normally, in recent years, the Packers have lost to the Seahawks every time. But not that time. And Rodgers 36-3 at Lambeau Field since starting 6-6 his first 12 games at Lambeau. Who's going to beat them at Lambeau Field? And when is Rodgers even going to throw another interception at Lambeau Field? I don't know. But so Rodgers, Packers, probably the first seed in the playoffs this year. In the NFC. Arizona's looking good. Seattle, they'll be ahead of the Eagles at this point. They'll turn it around to some extent. I don't see the Eagles finishing better than they do. So, again, Seahawks, they still have more of the tools, more of the goods, I guess you could say. The Saints, I don't know what their deal is. I'm a little surprised that they're 0-2. Drew Brees, my fantasy quarterback, just totally, against the Buccaneers of all, basically, just a fantasy crapping the bed yesterday. And but the Falcons, they're 2-0. The Panthers, 2-0. One of those. I got to think one of those. Obviously, one of those teams wins that division. One of them could be a wild card. And then I look at the Eagles, and again, the Cowboys. Their thing is they got a great offensive line, and the Eagles. Hey, they were getting the Tony Rome yesterday. Their front 3, their front 7. They were making some plays. The defense, again, they did what they could. They were out there for so much of the game, it's not even funny. So, in fact, I didn't even look at what the time. Let me see the team stats. As a matter of fact, I have individual stats up. Total plays, 70 to 55. Total yards for the Eagles, 226. And again, the first half they weren't doing it. A lot of this was in garbage time. Time of possession. The Eagles defense was out there for 40 and a half minutes, essentially. Not to mention the first touchdown. To me, the only touchdown that really counted in this game, since everything else was basically in garbage time, was the Eagles block punt. And then, getting the touchdown. That was the first time that happened since, what was 91 or whatever against, I don't know, and before I was either born or whatever. So, a lot of this, part of it is because the Cowboys, they run a more conventional offense, and the Eagles, but a lot of this too is that the Eagles, they weren't doing anything in the first 3 and out. Cowboys were moving the ball, and then the Eagles were holding them to field goals or turning the ball over or forcing a couple 3 and outs. I mean, the Eagles defense, they started this game exactly the way it needed to be started. Barr went that huge sack, 3 and out. The Eagles start off with pretty good field position, and the Eagles go 3 and out. It's just, oh my God. Third down efficiency for the Eagles, 2 for 11. Not to mention, I mean, the Eagles, again, they've been taking some stupid penalties so far as well this season. Yards per play, 4.1. And yards per rush for the Eagles, 0.4 yards out of 17 rushing attempts, 7 rushing yards. I mean, again, hey, Cowboys, they had 18 penalties for 142 yards. Eagles had 8 for 60. So there's, and again, I mean, the Cowboys, they had Dan Bailey getting penalties for all we care. So, I mean, the Eagles had on offense, they had so many chances to win this game. And they couldn't do anything on offense. And Chip Kelly, he brought, I mean, obviously, Sam Bradford's new quarterback. But again, I mean, he looked great against Green Bay in the preseason, but now they look unprepared, and it's just, he doesn't have enough time back there. And not only that, I think he was holding on to the ball a little too long at time. I mean, it seemed like sometimes he didn't know where to go, and the Cowboys are not an all-world defense. I mean, they're missing some guys themselves. So it's, again, I mean, they had plenty of opportunities to get something going on offense, and they didn't. And Chip Kelly, quote-unquote, an offensive genius? I mean, second half last week against the Falcons, they really had things going. And it's like, if only they were doing this all game, it wouldn't have been a game. Even with the problems that Byron Maxwell's having in the secondary and whatnot, any team, almost any team, is going to have problems with Julio Jones, unless you got Richard Sherman, perhaps, or, Joseph Hayden or whoever, Patrick Peterson. But still, I mean, like, what more could you want here of an opportunity to redeem yourself after a loss that could have easily been a win week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons? I mean, I don't know what to think anymore. Other than the way I started out, with Metallica's Fade to Black, who I believe, I believe should play at Super Bowl 50 this year, a Super Bowl that, whether a lot of people were hoping, perhaps grasping onto the idea that maybe the Eagles will be in, it looks absolutely impossible at this point. So, and I just, again, it's amazing how, amazing in a bad way, because normally when you say amazing, it's like, a good thing, how the Eagles are now in this position, how Chip Kelly he goes back to life. It's like he's totally got his pants down yesterday, and now it's like everybody who thought that the Eagles would maybe go 12-4. They could win a playoff game. Maybe depending how things shake out in the rest of the NFC, maybe that means a first-round bye. Maybe even home field advantage, depending on how the other teams do. Now it's like Chip Kelly and the Eagles' offense, especially, making people like me look stupid.
Was that like a wise ass comment?
Well, speaking of what, let's listen to the game post-game press conferences with Chip Kelly. See if he can enlighten us on what's going on. I know, there's been articles saying Chip Kelly's going to address everything. Evaluate the quarterback position, this, that. And it's like, well, yeah, you better evaluate and evaluate the offensive line. Maybe how they're not good enough at this point. And now, Peters is getting up there in age and maybe been a little more proactive. Maybe have a little more depth at the offensive line. And certainly the guard positions. Maybe not have Riley Cooper out. I don't know. Maybe really evaluate what's going on. Better. So let's listen to some of this press conference after the game yesterday with Chip Kelly. Should be very interesting.
I don't think the running backs even really had time to assess if there was a hole. Too much penetration up front, too many guys in the backfield.
Was it more what they were doing defensively, or?
No, they did the same thing they normally do. We just didn't block them. It wasn't a very difficult scheme. They ran 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers. They didn't have extra guys in the box. We just could not block the defensive line tonight.
That can get you holes moving forward.
Tonight we didn't.
Now you're fixing 70 yards over the first 2 games. Is there any thought to going from the shotgun to under center?
Yeah, I don't think it mattered. We were under center today. I don't think there was any. We had penetration. We were under center. We had penetration. We were in the shotgun. I don't think how we're handing the ball off is the problem right now. We got to get it straightened out. We got to get straightened out up front.
Do you have the right guys in there?
We'll see. We're going to assess everything.
Are you pretty surprised about how the team has come out in these first 2 games?
Yeah, I think everybody is.
Do you think you're getting the effort from the guys throughout?
Yeah, I think we're getting the effort. I just don't think. I thought our defense played outstanding today. And I don't think the offense did anything, especially in the.
Oh man, looks like it's frozen here, kind of like the Seagulls' offense yesterday in the running game. But anyhow, it brings up stats that I pretty much already went through. Yeah, in the red zone too. Another one. When 0 for 2 for the Cowboys, which I guess good job by the Eagles defense, but the Eagles also, 1 and 2. They got to be better in the red zone to begin with, and again, there's turnovers.
What our defense was doing, I thought our defense played really well tonight, and I think our offense did not play at all.
On the missed snap, what happened on that?
It was just snap before we even had a cadence, so I don't know. I know we hadn't even started. We weren't even set, so. We didn't even start our cadence and the ball got snapped, so I don't know. I've talked to Jason in terms of exactly what happened, but we didn't have a cadence and the ball was snapped. So
you're going to evaluate everything. Does that include the quarterback?
That includes everybody, coaches, everybody.
I think it's connected to separation problems for the receivers and the running backs, I assume.
No, penetration with a 3 technique doesn't have anything to do with a receiver going down the field. It's got to do with not blocking the 3 technique.
How would you evaluate Sam's performance today? Drew pick, in the end zone.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably wants that one back. I don't think he had a lot of time on some of those. I think there was a combination of a lot of things. We had a couple drops on key third downs that could have extended drives and kind of got us into a rhythm. So to really take a look at the whole tape, I can't give you a full evaluation of him.
Happened on the block punt?
Yeah, they had a double lead inside, and I think our center got picked. Something we've been prepared for, but we didn't block it up right.
Do you think it'll take some time before he's used to this offense, used to these players, or should it be better now?
I think everybody on offense has got to get it figured out.
Do you have an update on Kiko?
No, I don't have any updates on anybody. I know Kiko was out. I just know they were out for the game. Kiko was out for the game, and Michael Kendricks was out for the game.
Yeah, it's freezing again.
But I haven't gotten any updates and probably won't have anything on that until tomorrow.
Any thoughts on taking Sam out today?
No, we didn't have any discussions about that.
Why was DeMarco Murray so upset coming off the field after the interception?
I don't know. I didn't talk to DeMarco on that particular play, so I couldn't
room after the game?
I talked to the whole team in the locker room. I didn't talk to anybody specifically.
Tell the team.
And we got to get it figured out that our defense, we let a really good defensive effort go for naught because we didn't do what we needed to do offensively, and that we need to stick together as a group and get this thing figured out.
Did you plan on changing anything within the run game after last week's failure to get anything going on the ground?
I mean, we ran some different schemes, but we didn't have nothing worked today. So
At the 3-yard line, what was the thinking behind the two passing plays there?
we weren't moving their defensive line, so we probably had to throw it in.
We're already on the state of the team, Chip. 0-2, it's just a big game. The offense didn't show up.
Yeah. Well, we better show up this week because it's not going to get any easier for you. So we got to come back, get ready to go to work on Tuesday, and get ready to go play the Jets.
Why are there some drop passes from receivers?
Mm-hmm.
What do you count that?
I mean, you got to look at the individual particular play, but there were a couple key drops that didn't help on a day when we're not running the ball very well. You got to be a lot cleaner in the pass game, and we weren't. So I couldn't give you the specifics on each individual drop. But
blame most of DeMarco's struggles to the offensive line.
To whose?
DeMarco.
I don't think any of our running backs had a chance to get anything started. So.
You've got 2 new starters at guard, you've got
Mm-hmm.
running back, you've got rookie starting at wide receiver, quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, should it be better by this now? Did you maybe overestimate how long it might take for everything to gel?
I don't think we overestimated or underestimated. We got to be ready when the season started, and we haven't played the second half of the Falcons game. We played well. First half of the Falcons game, we didn't play well, and tonight we didn't play well at all.
Are you satisfied with Bradford's progressions? It seemed like a lot of check down, or until you see the reads, you can't tell what he saw.
Yeah, until I see that exactly in film who was open or who was not open.
You want to see more shots down the field than you saw.
We tried to take a couple shots down the field, but we also have to protect him so he can throw the ball down the field.
What is the offensive line appear to be the biggest problem?
Yeah, I don't have that exact answer right now. I wish I did. So we'll get to it though.
Did you get rid of too many playmakers in the offseason?
I don't think so.
You really too many offensive contribute to him, and how much goes to the offensive line?
I think it's a combination. So I can't give a number on what's what. So
Is it talent, or is it execution, or is it coaching?
execution. It's execution and it's coaching. We're not doing a good enough job. We're not putting those guys in position to make plays.
In what ways are you looking at that with play calling? Do you have any kind of like self-analysis?
Yeah, we self-scout ourselves all the time. So we'll continue to do that. And but running the ball the way we're running the ball right now is not. We're not going to win any football games. So we got to get back, get that figured out.
What do you think of Hicks stepping in at linebacker?
Jordan did a nice job. Especially in that situation when 2 guys go down. He's primarily a special teams player for us, but when you only dress 4 guys on game day, you got to be ready to go. And then obviously losing Kiko and then Michael. Besides that one pass play to Randall, I thought he did a nice job.
All right, so that's pretty much that for now. A lot of we gotta, I don't know, do a better job coaching, a better job execution. The normal, I guess, and we'll see. I mean, but things are not looking good. Of course, Michael Kendricks, Kiko Alonso going down, the linebacking core, and just things just like that right out of the gate. 0-2, and I mean, a couple weeks ago there were power rankings that had the Eagles at 13 and whatever, had this team again, and it was like, really, like how's that pop? But now it's like, whether it's not executing or having holes and just not good coaching, the Eagles are, really slipping down the power rankings right now. If you look at it, it doesn't seem like they have much power at all. Looking around the league, looking around the NFC, so I don't know. I really don't. But there's a lot of explaining to do, and I guess you got to do it by improving your play on the field, I guess.
Well, somebody better explain, or there'll be a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, because we're not really going to get much out of a press conference other than, I guess back and forth jabs and whatever else, pretty much, and shots at the media at times, or just pretty blunt answers that don't really explain anything. So I guess all we could do is just watch and see what, if things improve on the field and see if the Eagles can turn this thing around. I don't know. But it's just, not a great time to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan, certainly. And certainly this Eagles team is looking like one of the laughing stocks, or perhaps the biggest laughing stock of the NFL right now. And it's not funny if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Facebook.com/Tyler Werner Show. Comment, send whatever gripes you have, because I'm sure there's many gripes to be had right now, as I have with this Eagles team and with this 0-2 start. And we'll talk about it here on the Tyler Werner Show. In the next video, we'll go around the NFL. Look at what some other teams are doing. Some teams that are actually starting to it. Teams that are actually looking, that actually really do look like they have a chance at going deep in the playoffs, while the Eagles do not look like one of them at all. So with that in mind, it's the Tyler Werner Show. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi there, I'm Hank Hill. Well, I'd like to tell you what Strickland can do to meet your energy needs. You see, at Strickland, the customer comes first. It's kind of interesting, the word customer begins with CU. Well, we don't see you as just another sale, but as a member of our team. I thought you might enjoy 7.5 gallons of pure premium propane. Strickland Propane, the customer comes first.
Okay, Rocco, pretend I'm the girl that you want to ask out on a date.
How about maybe you and I, maybe we go out together, get something to eat, I don't know, maybe laugh a little bit, who knows, you know? I don't know, would you like to maybe, you want me to go out together? What do you think? Would you like to?
You need to make more eye contact and you sound way too nervous.
You want to hear me say it? You want to break me down? All right, I'm afraid. For the first time in my life, I'm afraid.
Having a tough time asking out ladies? You need to see Clubber Lang for a lesson.
Hey, woman. I bet you stay up late every night dreaming you had a real man, don't you? I'll tell you what, bring your pretty little self over to my apartment tonight, and I'll show you a real man.
Build confidence with the ladies like never before with Clubber Lang's dating services. The most highly recommended in all of the Delaware Valley.
I am ranked number one. That means I'm the best.
I'll have some skirt steak, some brisket, little piece of that New York steak, a couple of them steak fingers, and a burger.
You've known for a long time that you were going to have to get real about fat or stay real fat. It didn't get that way by accident or by some outsider's doing.
Put some macaroni and cheese on there, too. Is there any chicken fried steak left?
Your weight just keeps creeping up or maybe even shooting sky high.
3 slices of pecan pie and 2 cups of coffee.
You have a decision to make. You know it, and so do I.
Yes, all right.
You need prescription diet pills or other diet aids to lose weight.